Alright, you good?
I'm good.
Alright. So, what was your childhood like?
Good. It was a good childhood. You know, me and my little brother played outside a lot. I had a good dad. You know, my parents got divorced when I was like 8, so a lot of people have problems with when that happens. I think my parents handled it pretty well enough to where it didn't, as far as I know, hurt me too bad, my personality or anything. That's as far as I know.
Yeah. So, did your parents ever deal with addiction?
Absolutely.
What kind?
My father has been an alcoholic my whole life, and I'm sure, I don't know the exact age, but he started pretty young. His mom was an alcoholic. He lost his dad at a very young age. My grandpa passed away when my dad was 9 years old. So he had a lot of anger because of that, which I'm sure probably fueled and coincided with his alcoholism. My mom, also an addict. Alcohol was the biggest thing at first. She, these days, finally quit smoking crack, but still does ice, which is meth. She drinks pretty steady now. And I don't know, whatever else they got down there at the homeless shelter.
Do you think their addiction had anything to do with yours?
Well, yeah. They teach you about the hereditary, effects of addiction in when you're in the 12 steps, and as far as I know, it's so built into your genes that, and I read this somewhere, you can take a kid from some addicted parents, put him in a home of non-addicted, switch the kids out, put the other kid in the home with the addicted parents, and the one that was born into addiction by blood was 4 times more likely to become an addict than the other kid, even putting the other kid in that environment.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's pretty substantial, DUI school. That's where I learned that.
So, knowing you growing up, it seemed like your childhood was not so good, whereas you said it was good. Can you tell me some moments that you don't think were so hot?
Yeah. One that sticks out to me is on New Year's Eve, I believe it was 2000. My aunt and my uncle had came to stay with us, and my dad was drunk as hell, and everybody was drinking, but my uncle was fighting with my aunt. She left, and for whatever reason, I'm not really sure, he blamed it on my dad, and he came in, knocked my dad down, and got on top of him and started punching him, and I was a kid, so freaked me the hell out. And pretty sure it was either my other uncle or my cousin finally got him off of him and everything, but my dad had a black eye, and hell, he never had a chance of defending himself, really,
Yeah.
So I guess that would be one of my bad memories.
How did you wind up with your dad instead of your mom? It's pretty rare.
Well, my dad loved us very much, and it was really like back and forth thing, but it was really important to him to be a good dad.
And you think he was a good dad?
I feel like he is probably, and for me, he's the greatest dad in the world, of course. I hung out with him today. So yeah.
How do you see your life right now?
I may have taken some wrong turns. um, you know, everybody knows that addiction, it's not the way to go for anybody. Rich, poor, homeless, whatever. It makes your decisions for you, and they're usually poor ones.
Do you feel like there's anybody to blame for that?
I guess not. But I would have to blame myself. Because even though the addiction is so strong, and like I said, it takes on its own, decision-making abilities for you, I'm still choosing it.
Do you think addiction is a choice?
No. I don't.
What do you think it is?
A demon.
So you're homeless. You see a lot of stuff. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, let me think on that one and get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your happiest moment?
Happiest?
Yeah. Something that comes back to you.
Man, my son is about to turn 14, and I started raising him when he was 2 because I started dating his mama, and she kind of told me, well, if you want to date me, I got a kid, so you gotta accept that. And I was 19, and that was some pretty heavy shit, And it was like a day or two later, I was riding my bicycle right down the road here on 5th Avenue. And it was in October, and the sky was blue, sunny day, early in the morning. And I stopped and just kind of looked around, and it was pretty out there. And, it was cold, but it was a pretty day. And for me, I felt like God told me at that moment that I needed to raise this kid as mine. So I decided to. And that's my boy,
Yeah.
Not around him as much as I'd like to be. He don't really need to be around me as much as I would like him to be because, I'm not exactly leading a good example at the moment.
We talked earlier today about normal life and how that was scarier than what you're living right now. Why is that?
Scarier. For me, it's because I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and I'm able to escape, I guess, with the push of a button, metaphorically. And having that, is comforting. So, to take it out of the equation is, then I have to deal with everything without that.
Yeah.
Craziest thing I've ever seen, man. I don't know, man. It'll pop in my head, but probably not. Not right now.
So you've graduated from heroin to fentanyl, and you told me that you've OD'd close to 20 times. How do you feel about that?
Probably not as embarrassed or ashamed of it as I should be. I'm not proud of it. I guess I don't feel about it. You know?
Does it worry you?
No.
So every time you...
But it worries me that it doesn't worry me.
Yeah, that makes
You know?
sense. So earlier, you took some medicine, and it didn't cross your mind that anything bad could happen.
No.
Where do you see yourself in, say, a year, 5 years?
Well, I have reluctantly and ever so slowly been making the decision that I have to make, which is to stop. So I would say in a year, maybe rehab. In 5 years, and I mean this could go two ways, you know, obviously. In 5 years, probably with my own house and, you know, working a job and having my shit together. Bragging about how I got clean and got out of homelessness and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Or in 5 years, I'm not gonna be around, but you'll be able to read my tombstone.
Does that worry you?
That does worry me.
You're afraid of death?
No. I'm afraid of how that would affect my kid.
Anything else you want to say?
Don't do drugs.
Thanks, Joe.
Love you,
Good.
dude.
Love you too, buddy.